These were the victims of a merciless terror attack,
Killed 30 soldiers and forced 50,000
which has already led to the death of at least 32 people.
Struck and rained untold terror.
A legal or illegal weapon. What is the distinction? The legality or illegality of a weapon is a question that has many facets of other questions. How and why was it acquired? Who owns it and why? When not in use, where is it kept? Whether such a weapon is in the hands of law enforcement agencies or otherwise, there is need to have certain parameters in place to govern handling of weapons and combat their illicit trafficking and accumulation. The 2015 report on the global burden of armed violence shows that at least 500,000 people are dying from armed conflict every year, with close to 250,000 deaths being caused by firearms or gun violence. Indeed, small arms are the real weapons of mass destruction, killing the human population in slow motion. The continued proliferation of illicit arms continues to severely affect national, regional and international security efforts across Africa, where small arms are the key agent for armed crime, insurgency, terrorism, poaching and a key driver of fragility situations, especially in the Great Lakes region and Horn of Africa. The global legal trade in arms and ammunition has greatly increased in the past decade, and so is the question about how to deal with the diversion of small arms and light weapons from the legitimate to the illegitimate sphere.
Sudan's government says at least 272 people, including at least 33 civilians, were killed as military
Violence left as many as 42,000 people internally displaced.
A young boy was being treated for 2 bullet holes on Wednesday.
Most of the patients, 90% of them, the bullets are inside. There is no outlet.
It's a key issue and concern in Africa and elsewhere. You know, the circulation and illegal spread of weapons, small arms, light weapons, firearms, ammunition. You know, they are a cause of many a worry and problems. If we can reduce and hopefully eventually eliminate, you know, the circulation of illegal weapons, meaning weapons that are not strictly under the control of state sovereign governments, that would go a great way towards reducing, you know, wars, conflict, terrorism, organized crime.
A safe and stable Africa is the vision of many, and there is need to endeavor to secure the future of our children and sustainability of our society by making progressive steps to reduce fragility situations caused by the accumulation of small arms and light weapons in the continent. It is on this basis that in 2010, the Africa Union Commission, with support of the European Union, would launch a trans-regional project on the fight against the illicit accumulation and trafficking of firearms in Africa, implemented by the Regional Center on Small Arms and Light Weapons, RECSA.
The problem of proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons is a big problem for our region and for the entire continent. Proliferation of small arms and light weapons is not only a security problem, it's a developmental problem.
The project is conceptualized in the framework of international and regional commitments on combating and eradicating illicit salvo, including the United Nations Programme of Action, the International Tracing Instrument, the Bamako Declaration, South African Development Cooperation Protocol, ECOWAS Convention, Kinshasa Convention, and the Nairobi Protocol. More recently, the Arms Trade Treaty reinvigorates the arms control agenda, while the Sustainable Development Goals reinforce the interlinkages between arms control and development, specifically in Target 16 on promoting peaceful and inclusive societies as a precursor for sustainable development.
So as of 2010, in follow-up to the joint EU-Africa strategy, the European Union decided in conjunction and in coordination with RECSA and the African Union Commission to make available funding to RECSA, you know, to start addressing these problems in coordination and directly in the RECSA member state countries.
The project implementation has been strongly guided by 3 key objectives: strengthening institutions and partnerships that will accelerate the implementation of continental and regional agreements and protocols on controlling the proliferation of illicit arms, promoting the effective management of weapons and ammunition, and facilitating the research and dissemination of information on small arms and light weapons.
Our mandate is to coordinate all action against proliferation of small arms and light weapons in our member state. Our vision is to have a secure and a safe sub-region in a peaceful continent, free from small arms and light weapon proliferation.
The project steering committee, chaired by the African Union Commission, brings together regional bodies and stakeholders to guide the coordination and implementation of the project and acts as a catalyst towards creating synergies of existing institutions involved in arms control. The inclusivity of the project oversight organ develops goodwill in implementation of small arms and light weapons interventions by enhancing trans-regional partnerships, cooperation and coordination amongst different stakeholders.
Proliferation of small arms and light weapons knows no borders. To proliferate from a country to a country, from a region to a region. So a continental approach is a very good approach to curb the proliferation of small arms and light weapons on the entire continent. This is the reason why the continental approach was good.
Through the project, continental action towards controlling illegal arms have been strengthened by way of supporting the harmonization of in-country legislation on small arms and light weapons with regional and international conventions, and strengthening national focal points and commissions on small arms through the development of national action plans and benchmarking exercises. Through the AU-EU project, RECSA has provided arms marking machines to Togo, Republic of Congo, Ghana, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Guinea, Malawi, Zambia, South Sudan, and Somalia.
Once these countries have been supplied with arms marking machines and they've been trained on how to mark, then you will find that the 4 regional blocks, the RECSA block, the ECOWAS block, and the SADC block, and the ECAS block, each will identify their mark. Once they identify their mark, countries that are under that block, a mark will be put into a gun.
The aim of marking our weapons, we are supposed to mark our state-owned weapons in order to trace and identify if in case an offense has been committed which relates to the firearm.
This exercise benefits the government so much, and I think it should not be left alone to donor community to fund the exercise. In fact, the exercise is extremely important to Kenya, to this state, because the speed within which we can investigate gun-related incidences. If we mark these guns, we only take a week before we place a case before a magistrate, because already the firearms that has been involved in the commission of crime has all the markings that we need.
RECSA has also developed, installed and commissioned electronic record-keeping of firearms using the RECSA Small Arms Tracing System software to complement the arms marking exercises in Rwanda, Seychelles, Togo, Ghana, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Guinea, South Sudan, Zambia, Uganda, Malawi, and Somalia. The idea is to have the records actively updated and maintained and held as long as possible with a view to improving the traceability of small arms in a timely and reliable manner in accordance with the international tracing instrument.
Within these softwares, a country now is able to demonstrate or to account for the weapons that they have.
Côte d'Ivoire is a model state in the ECOWAS region that is making great strides towards adopting project initiatives that are geared towards combating illicit trafficking of firearms. Following the provision of arms marking machines and record-keeping software, the country's National Commission remains an active institution for coordinating state activities in salvo management.
La COMNAT RPC a élaboré un plan d'action national. L'exécution de ce plan d'action a permis de réaliser la sécurisation physique et la gestion des stocks d'armes et munitions, le renforcement du cadre législatif et réglementaire sur les RPC, le renforcement des capacités des forces des acteurs impliqués dans le secteur de la sécurité, la coordination et la coopération, le renforcement du système de contrôle des ALPC, des frontières, et enfin la recherche et le développement.
As a success story in this project, Côte d'Ivoire has on several occasions played host to representatives from other African states, including Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, South Sudan, and Chad, for exchange visits meant to offer learning curves to each other.
La Côte d'Ivoire, c'est le seul pays qui a pu coordonner le marquage et faire le marquage des armes, soit de la police et de l'armée, au sein de la Commission. La Côte d'Ivoire, c'est le seul pays qui a décentralisé l'enregistrement électronique des armes dans les provinces.
We have learned enormously from this project how to design and implement a continental initiative like this one. We have also seen the advantages of working together and learning from each other on how to address a transnational threat like illicit trafficking and accumulation of firearms.
The RECSA region is also registering good progress, especially in the area of marking of firearms held by the police and military, and with support to complement the goodwill they have exhibited, the countries will soon hit the 100% mark. State stockpile management is central to the reduction of diversion of weapons and ammunition.
This RECSA partnership with Rwanda National Police, establishing of the AMRA, has also enhanced or has provided skills to any other security organ that would want to come and train to know how safety and security of the arms, safety of keeping arms, and related infrastructure security issues.
Elsewhere, Uganda is on track in enhancing its capacity to managing and securing stockpiles of small arms with the ongoing construction of a modern armory that shall be the largest in the sub-Saharan region and has been co-founded by the Ugandan government and the AU-EU project managed by RECSA. The project has established tools and systems to enhance cross-border security management and regionalized operations by providing platforms for cooperation of law enforcement agencies that has led to voluntary joint task forces across the continent.
I initiated a simultaneous operation in Iapco region, codenamed Osarama, and was targeting some select crime areas, including illicit firearms. It was very successful, and when it became successful, we thought of extending it to other regions. In 2013, we extended it to include as a sub-region. I'm very happy to note that from that time, the chiefs of police from the two regions agreed that this should be an annual event. And RECSA, particularly this project, has been at the forefront of supporting the after-action review meetings.
So far, through the African Union project, many African countries have made significant progress over the years in addressing the scourge of illicit small arms and light weapons on the continent. The progress is, however, a drop in the ocean compared to the existing structural, infrastructural, policy, legal, and institutional needs.
The main challenge has been the evolving complex conflict situations, whereby some countries have stabilized but others are going back into civil wars and unrest.
The challenge remains. It's a very long way to go still, but you know, the goodwill of the governments of the RECSA member states, their interest, their commitment is there to take it further. And you know, to put the issue of small arms and light weapons, to put the issue of irregular flows of weapons high within their national development priorities.
We know that the issue of small arms and light weapons is sometimes complicated and is relevant to our security.
Some member states,
but some member states sometimes don't have the right institutions like focal points to follow up on our requests.
The state cannot combat small arms proliferation alone. RECSA, through the project, has organized, facilitated and supported unique civil society organizations, trainings and forums for the ECOWAS region, South African Development Cooperation and Economic Community for Central African States, so as to ensure multiple stakeholder ownership of interventions towards controlling the illegal weapons. Efforts to combat the proliferation of small arms and light weapons require a broad range of strategies and cooperation between sectors and institutions which transcend states and embraces international outfits.
Interpol and RECSA have got a partnership. As you are aware that illicit firearms are largely used in committing crime. And as a body responsible for assisting member countries combat organized crime, we definitely came in and gave a hand to work closely with RECSA and develop good strategies that can combat that proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
To sustain the momentum of cooperation by regional police chiefs gathered during the project, RECSA midwifed the establishment of a continental mechanism for police bodies across the continent. Thereafter, RECSA spearheaded consultations on the establishment of the African police body within the African Union, and the idea was adopted in the Algiers Declaration of February 2014, leading to the establishment of the African Police Cooperation Organization, AFRIPOL, which is headquartered in Algeria.
Nous sommes dans une phase où nous sommes en train de mettre en place les organes d'AFRIPOL. Il y a les techniciens qui ont pu mettre en place toutes les bases de données d'Interpol. Je dis bien toutes les bases de données Interpol ont été installées au niveau d'AFRIPOL. Et la feuille de route qui a été arrêtée, c'est de mettre en place les bureaux de liaison, procéder à l'installation du système d'information et de communication AFSECOM. C'est un système qui a été conçu par les experts de la police algérienne et mis à la disposition d'AFRIPOL.
In a continent that is still facing wide-ranging conflict, porous and sometimes disputed borders and social conditions that generate the demand for salvo, no single state will make any perceptible impact on the problem by itself.
RECSA, I can say, has done a commendable job because RECSA has been able to take forward this initiative and cut a niche around how to deal with the small arms and light weapons. Cutting across so many member states that are facing that challenge, that insecurity problem.
So having another step ahead, would RECSA should have a vision to engage their partners, to think more about the modernity, the modern crime equipment required, sophistication of the arms.
So we have been pleased with what has been done in the EU-financed RECSA program. We think it's an appreciable effort that the EU has made here. Good results have been obtained. At the same time, of course, a long way still remains.
Si nous voulons une Afrique paisible et prospère, nous devons sérieusement mettre un accent sur la lutte contre la prolifération des armes légères et de petits calibres. Pour cela, l'Union africaine doit mettre sur pied une structure permanente et solide pour coordonner toutes les actions contre la prolifération des RPC au sein des pays membres. Les communautés économiques régionales doivent mettre sur pied aussi une institution qui ne s'occupe que de ce problème de prolifération illicite des armes légères de petit calibre. Ce projet était unique, c'était le premier projet unique sur tout le continent. J'espère et je donne le conseil qu'on ne perd pas les acquis de ce projet.
There is still need for increased commitment from interstate to regional level, extensive research and provision of more institutional development and strengthening support for the AU member states for the war of illicit trafficking of small arms and light weapons to be won.